They told me space assignments were peaceful. No one mentioned that peaceful meant mind-numbingly boring shifts fixing pipes on an alien ocean world that smelled like wet socks. My name's Evan Rourke, maintenance engineer, reluctant hero, and certified non-swimmer. Irony loves me. The station, Wetville, as we lovingly called it, floated above Nereus III's endless teal waters. My job was simple: keep the pumps running, don't drown, and pretend to enjoy powdered noodles. But fate, as always, decided boredom was overrated. It started during the evening cycle. I was halfway through repairing a corroded filter when the proximity alarm screamed. I looked up to see the impossible: something, or someone, flailing in the storm outside the observation dome. At first, I thought it was debris. Then a tail flicked out of the waves. Not again, I muttered. Last week it was a lost drone. This week, apparently, it was a mermaid audition. I hit the emergency seal override and sprinted out. Outside, the wind clawed at me like it wanted to join the fun. Through sheets of rain, I saw her, a humanoid figure with russet fur and long silver hair tangled across her face, struggling to stay afloat. Ears, definitely fox-like, flattened against her head as she went under. My brain said, "You're an engineer, not a lifeguard." My legs said, "Too late." I dove. The shock of alien seawater hit like liquid electricity. My suit's internal AI screamed about salinity spikes, but I ignored it, kicking down. She wasn't far, 5 meters, maybe. Her eyes were open, gold and dimming, expression calm, like she was watching herself die in slow motion. I wrapped an arm around her and kicked for the surface. Breaking through, I gasped for air. She coughed, hacking water into my face, which, given the circumstances, felt ungrateful. "Don't touch my tail," she rasped. "Lady, I'm trying to keep you alive." "You're very grabby for a rescuer." "Yeah, well, most of my rescues involve plumbing." I dragged her toward the hatch, praying she wasn't secretly venomous. Once inside, she collapsed on the deck, breathing hard. Her soaked fur shimmered faintly with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed with her heartbeat. I'd have appreciated the beauty more if I wasn't hyperventilating. "Okay," I panted. "Name, species, and what the hell were you doing swimming during a lightning storm?" She tilted her head, ears twitching. "Observation. You humans are prone to impulsive rescues. I was testing it." I blinked. "You almost drowned to test empathy." "Not almost drowned. Precisely calibrated risk." She sat up, wringing water from her tail like it was a normal Tuesday. "I needed to know if your kind values life over logic." "Well, congratulations," I said dryly. "You found the dumbest human in orbit." She smiled, small, sharp, and unsettlingly confident. "You saved me. That makes you my bondmate." "Your what?" "Bondmate. According to Vulpine empathy doctrine, physical rescue establishes mutual protection." "Lady, I just pulled you out of the water. I'm not ready for interspecies marriage." She leaned closer, eyes glinting with amusement. "Your heart rate says otherwise." "That's adrenaline." "Adrenaline. Is that your word for attraction?" I pinched the bridge of my nose. "No, that's my word for this conversation." Her tail brushed against my leg, soft, electric, and deliberate. Every nerve in my body filed a complaint. "I must repay the life debt," she said earnestly. "Vulpine custom demands immediate reciprocity." "That's really not necessary." "It is vital. Emotional imbalance can cause species-wide distress." Before I could argue, she reached for the wristband of my suit. The device beeped, glowing amber. A string of alien symbols scrolled across my HUD, neural synchronization initialized. "What did you just do?" "Linked our emotional frequencies," she said proudly. "You will feel what I feel. An elegant reward." I stared. "You linked our brains without consent." She frowned. "You saved my life without permission. Reciprocity achieved." I opened my mouth, closed it again. "You have got to be kidding me." Her ears perked. Humans say that before mating. No, we say that before bad decisions. She tilted her head, studying me like a new experiment. You're fascinating. You endanger yourself for strangers, then panic when gratitude becomes intimate. Because gratitude shouldn't come with neurological side effects. Her smile widened. You're blushing. Because my life support system thinks I'm on a date. She looked genuinely curious. Is this how human bonding rituals begin? With shared trauma and shouting? Pretty much, yeah, I admitted. Her tail swayed thoughtfully. Then I am learning correctly. I sighed, wiping seawater from my face. Listen, Miss, T. Lara, she said, standing gracefully despite her soaked fur. Vulpine Empathy Researcher, Level 8. Right. T. Lara. Maybe next time, test empathy with a questionnaire instead of attempted suicide. She blinked. But would that have earned your attention? Lady, nearly drowning isn't flirting. She tilted her head. And yet, it worked. I didn't have a comeback. The link on my wrist flickered again. Emotional feedback stabilized. I could feel her heartbeat, not metaphorically, literally. It pulsed in sync with mine, steady, warm, almost soothing. My irritation faltered. You feel calmer now, she noted. That means I succeeded. What did you succeed at? Protecting your emotional state. My gratitude must be sustained through continuous contact. Continuous. Yes. I will remain near you. Sleep cycles, hygiene intervals, nutrient consumption. You're moving in. Precisely. I rubbed my temples. You're unbelievable. Unbelievable, she repeated thoughtfully. Is that praise? Sure. Let's go with that. She smiled, tail curling like a question mark. Then I am pleased. You are now my assigned human. Assigned human. Until balance is restored, yes. And how do we restore balance? Her grin turned mischievous. You'll find out when I'm done repaying you. I swallowed hard. Should I be concerned? Only if you dislike surprises. Yeah, I said, eyeing the faint glow still linking our wrists. I'm starting to. She stepped closer, voice soft but teasing. Then this will be educational. My wristband pulsed again, sinking to her heartbeat. The room felt smaller, warmer, or maybe that was just the connection. Either way, one thing was certain, whatever this foxwoman had planned, it wasn't going to be boring. And somehow, that terrified me more than drowning ever could. By the next morning, my quarters smelled faintly of wet fur and disaster. I woke up to find T. Lara perched cross-legged on my desk, tail flicking rhythmically, staring at me like I was the subject of a long-term psychology experiment. My first thought, maybe I dreamed the whole thing. My second, no, because dreams usually don't involve an alien using my toothbrush to study hygiene rituals. Good morning, bondmate, she said brightly. You vocalized distress sounds while sleeping. Were you reliving trauma? It's called snoring, I muttered. Fascinating. A rhythmic noise to ward off predators. She jotted a note on her tablet. You even do research in your sleep. I sat up, rubbing my eyes. T. Lara, we need boundaries. She tilted her head. Is that a human code for affection denial? It's a code for personal space. I see. She immediately scooted closer. Like this. I sighed. Exactly not like that. She blinked innocently. Then clarify. Your body language is extremely contradictory. It's called awkwardness, I said. Humans have that when someone sits too close and scans their pulse without asking. Her eyes lit with wonder. So awkwardness is a mating defense mechanism. No, it's embarrassment. I cannot distinguish them. Neither can most humans, I admitted. That seemed to satisfy her. She leaned back, tail curling around her knees. I analyzed our emotional frequencies during the night. They synced 27 times. That's unusually high. You must be very emotionally reactive. Lady, you talk like a fitness tracker with trust issues. I prefer empathy amplifier. And my name is Tilara. Right. Sorry, empathy amplifier. You mock to deflect vulnerability, she said, far too pleased with herself. Classic human defense. I groaned. Do all Fox people come with built-in therapy apps? Only the advanced models. She smiled in a way that made me suspicious of how literally she meant that. Before I could respond, the door chimed. The rest of her research team had apparently tracked her location. 3 Volpari stood outside, each with fur in different metallic shades and datapads ready. They stared at me like I was a rare exhibit. This is him, one whispered. The reckless empath. Tilara nodded proudly. He leapt into toxic water to save me without calculating survival odds. Observe, pure instinct. The tallest one adjusted her glasses. He doesn't look heroic. I'm right here, I said. They began circling me, scanning. Heart rate irregular, smell of caffeine, poor grooming. Hey! Tilara interjected. All symptoms of heroism. Heroism or poor decision-making, another asked. Among humans, she replied, the two are indistinguishable. They hummed thoughtfully and scribbled notes. I half expected someone to ask for a DNA sample. Then one did. Absolutely not, I said. For science, she insisted. Find another sample donor. Perhaps a tail clipping. I don't even have a tail. They murmured disappointment and shuffled out. Tilara watched them go, ears twitching with amusement. They find you intriguing. Great. That's how I describe mold cultures. She laughed, a surprisingly melodic sound that made the room feel smaller again. Your humor disarms hostility. Another human tactic I must master. Please don't. Too late. For the next few hours, she tried mimicking my sarcasm with increasingly confusing results. When I said the coffee tasted like sludge, she sipped it and replied, deliciously revolting. When I muttered about needing space, she dramatically stepped backward into a wall and said, spatially sufficient now. Somewhere between exasperation and amusement, I realized she was enjoying herself far too much. Then came the gratitude ritual. She insisted Volpari express appreciation through synchronized resonance grooming. Apparently, it meant brushing each other's hair while exchanging emotional frequencies. Tilara, this feels weirdly intimate. Exactly. Intimacy builds trust. I usually build trust with conversation, not a hair salon. Primitive but charming, she said, and started brushing. Every stroke sent tiny static shocks through the neural link, pinging my nervous system like low-voltage flirting. She hummed softly, something halfway between purring and humming circuitry. This is ridiculous, I said, voice tighter than I meant. You are smiling, she noted. Because I'm dying of second-hand embarrassment. Embarrassment appears pleasurable for humans. That's not, I stopped. She wasn't entirely wrong. Her tail swished against my leg again. You blush faster than expected. I must log that. Tilara, you're weaponizing biology. Research requires repeatable results. I stood up, stepping back until my calves hit the bunk. No more experiments today. She tilted her head, pretending to ponder. So you wish to rest, or to engage in alternate bonding exercises? That phrasing needs work. I thought humans enjoyed ambiguity. Not when it involves electrodes and emotions. She smiled slyly. Then perhaps we should test humor compatibility instead. Tell me a joke. I sighed. Fine. Why did the astronaut break up with his girlfriend? She blinked. Because she was distant. My jaw dropped. How did you? I accessed a database of human humor last night. You studied memes. Yes. They reveal much about cultural insanity. Accurate. Her tail flicked again. I liked the one about emotional support humans. You are surprisingly cute when exhausted. I didn't know what to do with that sentence, so I defaulted to sarcasm. Thanks. I try my best to be adorably dysfunctional. She nodded gravely. And you succeed. It's what makes your species irresistible. There was a beat of silence too long to be comfortable. The neural link pulsed faintly, syncing our heartbeats again. I felt warmth crawl up my neck that wasn't mine. Stop broadcasting whatever that is, I said quickly. I can't. My system mirrors your emotional feedback. Then stop finding me irresistible. I will attempt partial resistance. Partial. She smiled like she'd just learned the most entertaining word in the galaxy. Humans are endlessly confusing. That is why I like you. Fantastic, I muttered. I've become your emotional science project. Not just mine, she said softly. Ours. Before I could unpack that, the station's AI chimed in. Commander Rourke, your emotional field output is destabilizing the atmospheric regulators. Please reduce flirting. I stared at the ceiling. You've got to be kidding me. Not kidding, Tilara said helpfully. Apparently, our link affects nearby systems. Fascinating. Fascinating is one word for it. Then perhaps, she said with a small smirk, we should continue experimenting until stability returns. Tilara. Yes, bondmate. Stop making everything sound dirty. Her grin widened. I assure you, it only sounds that way because you think that way. I groaned, covering my face. I'm doomed. Incorrect, she said cheerfully. You're just emotionally synchronized. Same thing, I muttered, and she laughed again, bright, melodic, and maddeningly pleased with herself. That's when I realized the truth. I wasn't just dealing with an alien researcher. I was living with the universe's most flirtatiously logical fox. And somehow, that terrified and thrilled me in equal measure. By the third day, the link had turned my life into a science experiment with fur. Every emotion I felt, Tilara mirrored. Every pulse of curiosity she experienced, I felt as a tingling echo at the base of my skull. Privacy wasn't just gone, it had been dissected, analyzed, and filed in triplicate. I was running maintenance diagnostics when she appeared behind me, upside down, hanging from the ceiling conduit like it was the most natural thing in the world. You've been emotionally stagnant for 6 hours, she said. Are you ill? It's called working, I replied. Humans do it to avoid starving. She frowned. But your cortisol levels rise when you work. Should I assist in relaxation? That depends, I said cautiously. Does it involve more gratitude grooming? Her tail swayed, ears twitching. Possibly. My species finds stress relief in shared energy transfer. Let me guess, another misunderstood euphemism for petting. Petting, she echoed innocently. If that helps, yes. I sighed. No touching the human. She tilted her head. You say that as if you mean the opposite. And there it was again, the deliberate twisting of every word into something suggestive. Either she'd studied linguistics overnight or she was a natural-born menace. Before I could respond, the comm system crackled to life. Rourke, report to command, now. Perfect timing. I left her perched smugly on the conduit and headed to the briefing chamber. Command wasn't pleased. Apparently, our neural link had started interfering with the station's data relays. Emotional spikes caused electrical surges. When I got angry, lights flickered. When she got amused, gravity temporarily reversed in the break room. You and your companion, the captain said carefully, are destabilizing 3 sectors. Believe me, I said, I'm trying to stabilize her. The captain's sigh could have powered the engines. Unlink immediately. Already tried. The system says it's irreversible without frying both of us. He paled. Then, for the love of humanity, keep your emotions under control. Sure. I'll tell the psychic fox to stop flirting. I left before he could ask follow-ups. Back in my quarters, Tilara was humming again, tail curled around a datapad. How did your human superiors react? They told me to stop feeling things. She nodded solemnly. That explains much about your species. Funny. Observation, not insult. You suppress emotion to appear strong, yet your strength comes from feeling too much. I frowned. You spend 3 days inside my head and suddenly you're a philosopher. She looked up, eyes bright. No, I've been watching human media. Your movies are 90% emotional repression and explosions. Very instructive. I groaned. You've been streaming? Yes. I like the one where the human male says I'm fine and then punches a wall. That's not a model of emotional health. Yet it's oddly attractive, she said thoughtfully. I choked on air. Attractive? Yes. You hide your pain with sarcasm. It's exotic. I could practically feel the smirk through the link. Lara, stop narrating my trauma like it's a dating profile. But it's bonding data, she argued. We are attuned now. Our emotional frequencies merge when proximity increases. Meaning? She placed a hand over my chest. Meaning this. The pulse hit instantly, a warmth that rolled outward like liquid sunlight. My body stiffened, every nerve buzzing in harmony with hers. Her eyes glowed faintly, and for one terrifying moment, I saw flashes from her mind, alien cities built over coral reefs, laughter in harmonic tones, an overwhelming sense of isolation disguised as logic. Then it was gone. I gasped. What was that? Synchronization trial, she said softly. I didn't expect full resonance. You nearly melted the lights. Apologies, she said, though the mischievous curve of her mouth ruined the sincerity. I underestimated human conductivity. You think this is funny? I think it's fascinating. You feel everything so loudly. Every heartbeat, every denial. You're a storm pretending to be calm. Thanks for the free therapy. You're welcome. You saved my life, I save your sanity. I'm not sure that's an even trade. Perhaps you'll change your mind after the next phase. Next phase. She stood, stretching in that infuriatingly graceful way. The reward protocol. I've been researching human pleasure centers. Don't finish that sentence. It's purely scientific, she said, tail flicking. I must test how empathy translates through physical stimuli. That sounds illegal in at least 2 galaxies. Then we'll do it quietly. I groaned, rubbing my temples. This is going to end with someone filing a harassment complaint. Only if they survive the paperwork, she said with a wink. Her version of testing turned out to involve controlled feedback through the neural bond. Every emotion she focused amplified in me. A pulse of joy felt like caffeine overdose, curiosity like static under my skin. Then came affection. Lara, stop, I said, voice shaking. It's too much. But it's working, she whispered. Your brain is adapting. That's not adaptation, that's overheating. Semantics. The room lights flickered again, panels whining from energy feedback. My thoughts blurred between fear, anger, and something warmer, dangerously close to comfort. She placed her hand on mine, eyes glowing amber. Do you feel that? She asked. Yeah, I said quietly. Like the universe is holding its breath. She smiled faintly. That's empathy, unfiltered. What you call love, my people call synchronization. I thought this was supposed to be funny, I muttered, pulse racing. It is, she said softly. Because we're both terrible at it. Her laughter filled my head, soft and electric. And beneath it, I felt something else, her fear. The link cut through her practiced calm, showing flashes of vulnerability. The loneliness of being bred for research, the exhaustion of pretending logic was enough. Without thinking, I squeezed her hand. You're not alone, you know. Her eyes widened. That's unexpected. Get used to it, I said. Humans collect strays. She exhaled slowly, tail curling around her legs. Your compassion is absurd. Dangerous. That's what everyone keeps telling us. She smiled, genuinely this time. Then I suppose I'll take the risk. The neural link pulsed one last time, brighter and steadier. Systems stabilized, lights stopped flickering. Somewhere deep in the circuitry, the station hummed in sync with our hearts. Lara looked around, eyes shining. See? Balance achieved. Yeah, I said, breathless. And probably 100 broken sensors. Small sacrifices for enlightenment. I laughed, the sound surprising both of us. For once, it wasn't forced. She tilted her head, studying me. That sound. Keep doing it. Laughing. Yes. It feels good through the link. Careful, I warned. That's how humans start friendships. Her tail flicked, playful again. Or revolutions. And just like that, the absurdity returned, the tension fading into shared amusement. For the first time since the rescue, it didn't feel like I'd made a mistake. Maybe she was right, maybe empathy really was a kind of power. Of course, knowing my luck, that probably meant we'd just weaponized it. Command had no idea what to do with us. Word spread fast that the human engineer and the foxwoman had achieved something called mutual resonance stabilization. To the bureaucrats, that sounded like a contagious disease. To the scientists, it was the discovery of the century. To me, it just meant my headaches came with background purring. They summoned us to a remote observation chamber. Rows of researchers watched from behind glass while we sat under a halo of scanners. Lara looked radiant, tail swishing lazily, while I tried to remember how to breathe normally. A general cleared his throat. Mr. Rourke, Miss Lara, your emotional synchronization is causing measurable field fluctuations across this sector. Explain. Empathy physics, I muttered. It's above my pay grade. Lara smiled sweetly. We created an empathy field strong enough to alter energy states. It's harmless unless you suppress it. Suppress it? Yes. Humans do that constantly. It builds pressure until, she gestured toward the blinking instruments. Boom. The general blinked. So, your feelings are a weapon. Not intentionally, I said, but apparently loving too hard now counts as hazardous material. The council erupted in whispers. One scientist asked if the bond could be replicated. Another suggested containment. Lara's ears flattened. Containment implies shame. Empathy is not a virus. It is when it crashes the power grid, I whispered. Correction, she replied calmly, it recalibrated your system to respond to emotion. That's evolution, not malfunction. The general sighed. You two are giving our analysts migraines. Join the club, I muttered. Later, after the endless debriefings, we sat on the station's observation deck. Below us, Nereus 3 shimmered like liquid glass. I exhaled. You realize they're going to turn us into lab exhibits, right? She tilted her head. Humans fear what they can't quantify. My people used to do the same, until empathy reshaped our civilization. Funny, I said, because right now, empathy's about to get me court-martialed. She smiled faintly. Then at least you'll be remembered for feeling too much. I turned toward her. You don't regret this? Linking with me. Her tail brushed my arm, deliberate and warm. Regret? No. Curiosity? Constantly. I chuckled despite myself. You have a weird way of saying thank you. I have a vulpine way, she corrected. Our gratitude is ongoing. You saved my life, I give you understanding. Understanding of what? She leaned closer, eyes glowing gold in the reflection of the planet below. That compassion isn't logical, but it's the only thing that changes anything. For once, I had nothing to say. The neural link hummed quietly, syncing with the rhythm of our breathing. The next day, the council announced their decision. They couldn't replicate the effect, but they could measure it. Everywhere we went, sensors picked up subtle boosts in morale and cooperation. Engineers stopped arguing, medics worked faster, and even the AI started complimenting people. Someone joked that we'd become the galaxy's first portable therapy device. It wasn't entirely wrong. We were cleared to leave, with one warning: avoid strong emotions. They cause unpredictable surges. Tilara grinned. Impossible request. I laughed. Yeah, we're human. We boarded a transport bound for the Central Alliance hub. She insisted on sitting next to me, shoulder brushing mine. Your people will study us for years, she said softly. Do you think they'll understand? Eventually, I said. After they write enough paperwork. She chuckled. Perhaps that is your species' true form of meditation. Halfway through the flight, I noticed her tail flicking anxiously. What's wrong? My superiors want me to return to Vulpine Command for debriefing. They believe our link compromises objectivity. You mean they think you're biased toward humans? She met my gaze. I am. Terribly. I didn't know whether to be flattered or worried. You could refuse, I offered. She shook her head. No, but I can choose how I report the truth. When we arrived, Vulpine delegates waited, sleek, unreadable, radiating suspicion. They demanded to examine the human anomaly. Tilara stood between us, tail high, voice steady. The anomaly isn't him. It's us. Together. The eldest delegate frowned. You compromised your objectivity. I gained something better, she said. Perspective. They argued, threatened disciplinary measures, and called her reckless. She just smiled. You misunderstand. He didn't change me. I let myself change. That silenced them. After the meeting, she found me leaning against a corridor wall, pretending not to have heard everything. You just committed career suicide, I said quietly. Possibly, she admitted, but worth it. Why? Because now they know empathy can't be studied, it has to be lived. I shook my head. You really are impossible. Her tail flicked. You say that like it's praise. A week later, the reports came in. The energy field we created had spread subtly through communication signals, a resonance frequency embedded in data transmissions. Empathy itself was going viral. Entire colonies reported a sudden surge in cooperation. Disputes ended peacefully. Production efficiency doubled. The universe had caught feelings. I stared at the data. We accidentally made compassion contagious. Tilara beamed. You're welcome. Do you realize what this means? We just rewired galactic politics with a cuddle frequency. She leaned in close, voice teasing. Then humanity's greatest weapon isn't violence, it's affection. That's a terrifying thought. Is it? She asked. Or is it finally evolution doing something right? I looked out the viewport again. Stars glittered like sparks off an endless ocean. Maybe she was right. Maybe the universe needed a little more illogical love. Still, I said, I'm not sure how we explain this to Command. She smirked. Tell them the truth. You saved a foxwoman, and the shockwave is still expanding. I laughed quietly. Yeah, that'll go over great on the report. She rested her head lightly against my shoulder. Perhaps some shocks are worth surviving. The neural link pulsed once more, soft and warm, not demanding, just present. I felt her heart beat through it, steady and strong, echoing my own. For the first time, it didn't feel intrusive. It felt like belonging. Humans, she murmured, amused. Always diving into deep water without knowing what waits below. Yeah, I said, smiling. But sometimes, the current saves you back. And somewhere between laughter and silence, we both realized that for all the chaos, all the misunderstanding, all the unfiltered emotion, this was humanity at its best. Too curious to quit, too reckless to fear love, and just foolish enough to change the universe by accident.